Welcome all to the Pro Football Radio Podcast, episode 65. This is your co-host, Jay Chima, with the pride and joy of Merrimack, New Hampshire, one Da Puma. But additionally, we got guests along as well today. We have our senior NFL contributor, Da Burge, and the one and only Hammertime from Hawaii Pacific, where they have a statue outside the basketball building. How are you, fellas?
Pew, pew, pew!
I've been better.
It's fine. We all have. But we got Hammertime on, so it's gonna be a glorious episode.
We've got the Michael Jordan version of Hawaii Pacific on the line with us today.
Actually, hang on. We did Mikey P a disservice by not listing all the nicknames. We got Mikey P, a.k.a. Hammertime, a.k.a. Frisco, a.k.a. White Light, White Heat. Hammertime, Mikey P!
You absolutely have to get all my names.
You gotta get all the
nicknames. Fans. I have a lot of fans here who are listening.
You're the Apollo Creed of the podcast with his 90 freaking nicknames that guy had in the Rocky series. So you're not gonna go out like him. You're not gonna die in Rocky 4. We're gonna keep you around a little bit longer, all right?
The legend lives on.
Yes.
Yeah. And Burge, buddy, how are you doing up there in the Boston area after the debacle on Sunday night?
Hey.
I'm depressed. I am very, very depressed. I find it hard to get happy about anything with football right now. I'm just hoping that we get some better news this week.
Yeah, let's hope so. All right, so let's jump right into it. This podcast is going to consist of us talking about the Patriots versus 49ers. We'll talk about the Cowboys and how much they suck peen, and then we'll talk about some Week 8 previews. So let's kick it off with some Patriots and 49ers action. As we all know by now, the Patriots got absolutely annihilated, 33-6 to the 49ers. For the most part, Cam Newton looked like trash, and the whole offense in general looked like trash. But let's start with the 49ers perspective first, and let's turn it over to Hammertime, as I'm sure he's gloating over there, sir. So the floor is yours.
Dude, biggest smile on my face. They're actually starting to look like a football team again.
Yeah. Listen, man. The fact that they were so depleted on with their roster with all the injuries, it's still a miracle that we lost by so many fucking points, man.
Seriously, I don't know how it could happen. You tell me. You guys are the experts.
Well, it's very simple. The Patriots suck really bad right now. That's it's as simple as it gets.
Hard-hitting analysis.
Horrible.
Oh my God. Brendan, would you want to get in on here real quick before me and the Birds start hammering the Patriots?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, the 49ers offense, they're essentially running back university. I mean, you can put anybody back there and they're going to get, 18 touches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, I wasn't expecting the running back core to go off like they did. I was a little bit surprised at how much spacing the offense was able to generate. I mean, they had everybody moving on jet sweeps and whatnot, and getting Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel in space, even though Samuel got dinged up with a hamstring issue. But the Pats looked out of sorts on the defensive side of the football. They couldn't really keep up with their guy. They gave up way too much spacing, and this offense is inept. I mean, there's no other way around it. There's nothing, no positives to take away from this offense. Cam Newton's holding on to the ball for too long. There's easy checkdowns that he could have hit at least 5 times in that game to make it a little bit more interesting on Sunday. There's nobody that can generate space. Edelman is a shell of himself. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a salary cap casualty next year. I think they're going to move on from him. And, after 7 weeks of seeing this team, I think the Pats would be justified in moving on from Julian Edelman. So there's a lot to be done. There's a huge game coming up against Buffalo, and I am fading this team until further notice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Burge, let's. I know you've been going through hell and back for the last 48 hours. Got really dark sometimes, but let me turn it over to you and get your initial impressions on what you saw on Sunday.
What's the excuse this time?
Mm-hmm.
Last week it was they didn't practice. They had ravaged with COVID. What's the excuse this time? Where is the drop off from this offense from week 2 against Seattle, even week 3 against the Raiders? What the heck happened?
Yeah.
You know, they just look lost out there. There was literally nothing positive that I could take from that game on Sunday to make me feel good going into, you know, a pivotal game against the Bills.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Yeah. So listen, me being the Patriots fan, it was tough to swallow that loss, but the Patriots were forever, you know, able to manage injuries and roster deficiencies by playing, you know, extremely high at the quarterback position and extremely high coaching as well, right? Now it seems that unfortunately we don't have that high quarterback play. And when you play a team that has superior coaching as well, because we all kind of believe Kyle Shanahan is a good coach, we couldn't even get over that hurdle, right? So when you start looking at some of the issues we saw on the field, right, and I'm going to take the blame pie down to three levels, right? The first blame pie, the major sector of the blame that I put on the loss is to Cam Newton, right? Simply put, Cam Newton is just, he's erratic. He's missing wide open throws. Like he just looks really, really bad right now. I don't know. Like I can't quantify. I can't even express why he's this bad. Like, is it injury? Like I really don't know at this point. And I can turn the floor over to you guys. But do you guys see anything in Cam that maybe is injury related, or is it just simply the guy doesn't have it anymore? It's kind of hard to look at some of his numbers. I mean, if you look at the last, you know, the games that he started, his quarterback rating has gone down significantly. And with the Dolphins, he was at 100.7 passer rating. With the Seahawks game, he was 94.6. With the Raiders game, he was at 73.8. The Broncos game, he was down to 51.6. And then for the San Francisco game, he kind of bottomed out at 39.7. So you can see a drop-off in each single game. Now, I just don't know what that equates to, right? Is it simply, you know, he started out hot and the other teams are figuring who he is? But I can't quantify or justify any of this right now.
I think a lot of it's on the coaching. I think his confidence is completely shot right now. I mean, you could hear it in the way he was talking in his calls with the media on Monday, basically saying if he doesn't change his performance, it's going to be a permanent change to Jarrett Stidham. I think Bill has got to do something to help him get his confidence back. He just looks lost out there. This is not even what he looked like in his last games with the Panthers last year, even though he was hurt. I don't think it's injury related. I think he needs to get his confidence back. He needs to get his swagger back, and he needs to understand that he is an all-pro football player when he wants to be.
Mm-hmm. Now, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, just to jump in. I mean, you know, you could kind of make the argument, well, maybe the last couple of games is, you know, just the after effects of having COVID or being, I mean, even though he was asymptomatic, so that's kind of a reach of an argument. But I mean, in all these games, the opposing teams made him play quarterback. Like the Seattle defense made him look good because Seattle just can't stop anybody. They gave up like 500 yards to Kyler Murray on the Monday Night Football game. I just think that, you know, they're going to have to go back to basics. They're going to have to go with the skill position players or lack thereof that they have. But like the 50 running backs that are on the New England roster, they're going to have to go back to their roots, and they're going to have to go back and establish the run. And you're going to see a lot of quarterback keepers and option plays. And I know we're going to preview the Bills Pats game in a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is back to the drawing board. We're going to run the football down your throat and grind the defense down.
Yeah,
they need to get Damian Harris going. I'm sick of them doing this carousel. Like when he was out there on Sunday, he had some good runs. He averaged 5.8 yards a carry over his 10 rushes. Like, get him out there, feed him the ball. He's a talented running back. You started against Kansas City when they needed him there. Get him out there. He's averaging 5.4 yards a carry over this season.
Yeah.
Give him the ball.
Real quick, I got a question for Mike for Hammer Time. So Mikey P, you know, this defensive front and defensive unit as a whole for San Francisco, they've just been obliterated by injuries, you know, but y'all have been really towing the line and bouncing back. I mean, how good of a coach is Robert Saleh? Like, do you think he's going to be around next year? Like, is he going to get a head coaching tab? Because this guy is doing miracle work with Javon Kinlaw and a bunch of replacement level guys on that defensive front. Like, what was your takeaway from the defensive performance on Sunday?
I mean, I think the future's bright for the coach for sure. I mean, I wouldn't say, he's ready for the next level just yet. I mean, we got a huge game coming up this weekend, so but losing Bosa was like an enormous blow to my balls. When I heard that, I cringed. I'm like, Jesus Christ, the anchor of our whole football team just went down. So I think it's that whole mentality. The next guy got to step up, next man up. So I think the performance, just that whole persona of the San Francisco 49ers, like getting back to being kind of like top dogs in the NFL, is starting to kind of go through the locker room. Guys are wanting to play hard, but injuries has just been tough, man. It's not just the Niners, it's throughout the whole league. You're seeing it literally every single week. It's terrible.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I thought the Patriots had a shot at playing against the 49ers and actually winning, right? I mean, that's why I took them to win, is because
I mean, you were oozing confidence, Jay.
Yeah, you
like,
were way more confident than me.
I wanted whatever drugs you were taking, dude.
For sure.
Jay, you were
Texting me they're going down.
You were doubling down all week, being like, "Fuck Jimmy G, that son of a bitch is going down. To hell with them."
You know what's funny? I realize I'm starting to turn into a typical Bostonian Patriots fan.
Oh, you're just realizing that now?
Because I am, spoiler alert, I'm doubling down again this week, and we're going to beat the Buffalo Bills by 10 points, all right? But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. I think I was very let down with the fact that, we knew this team was depleted with the 49ers, right? We knew Jimmy Garoppolo, at the end of the day, like, the guy ended up with 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 277 yards. He's very efficient, I get that. But I thought we could get to him and rattle him. But this defense for the Patriots did absolutely none of that. They didn't stop the edge. They didn't contain on the edge. They let running backs get outside. Essentially at one point when the running backs were stopped, then the 49ers went to wide receivers getting outside. I mean, I think this is the worst half of Patriots football I've ever seen, and I've never been this dejected after a loss. Even after the Eagles Super Bowl where we lost and we threw up 33 points and we still lost, I still didn't feel that bad because I knew we had talent and we'd get back there. But this is a different level of Patriots bad that I'm not used to. Obviously, when I was back in 2001 when I started watching the Patriots, I was like 10 years old. So before that, I don't remember any of that shit. So for me, this is all new. And the question that I want to pose to everybody is I know we all love to talk about Tom Brady and his slippage, or players in general, how they're getting over the hill with Drew Brees. But are we seeing some slippage from Bill Belichick? And I ask that because what I saw on defense, right, the issues and deficiencies we saw on defense weren't about talent. They were schematically bad. Like, they were in the wrong position and they just couldn't essentially do anything, right? I mean, I understand if you don't have any talent, but what I saw from the Patriots defense was more schematic issues. So are the players tuning Belichick out? I want to throw that out there because I can't explain this any other way. I mean, this is just bad on all fronts all the way around.
All right,
what the hell was the game plan? That's what I want to know.
Well, what was the game plan? I don't know.
Well, let me jump in real quick. I mean, they're missing Patrick Chung, they're missing Dante Hightower on that defense, and
Brandon, but I made the point that this isn't about talent. This is schematically. These guys have absolutely no idea what the 49ers were doing.
Jay, my point being is Patrick Chung and Dante Hightower were essentially the quarterbacks on that defensive front. They made sure everybody was in the right positions. They were calling the right plays, the right coverages, of audibling out of the defense. And those two guys, those crucial pieces on that defense aren't there. And we were already on the episode last week saying that the McCourty brothers need to step up their game, and they clearly have not. So I'm not giving them a free pass because, or not giving Bill a free pass as well because of those guys being out of the game because they opted out for the season. But it's definitely a mitigating factor as to why this defense has stepped back.
I'd argue that with Dante Hightower more so than Patrick Chung, mainly because of how talented the Patriots secondary is. The Patriots linebacking core sucks. There's nobody there. I mean, you have Juwan Bentley, who's kind of taken a step forward a little bit. I mean, it's tough to tell, but I mean, there's nobody else there.
Yeah. And I bring that up because I wanted to bring Belichick up because at the end of the day, the organization is Belichick, right? Robert Kraft stays out of the football operation. We all know that.
Except for Tom Brady.
Well, of course, right? But I'm just stunned at the level of talent we threw out there on the field on Sunday, right? This isn't just a defense problem. On the offense itself, like all the weapons that we have, there's like absolutely no yards after catch, right? Like the run game is average. Wide receivers can't get past defenders. I understand that Cam was the main reason we lost this game on Sunday. But if we don't look further than that, then we're doing ourselves a disservice. You know what I'm saying? There are bigger issues here than just Cam in itself. And I do believe if it was Stidham out there or Garoppolo, whoever our quarterback would be, like we would still be struggling this bad as well.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
but
with 3 interceptions. Oh yeah.
exactly. And Cam Newton's one hop in the ball to open receivers. So I mean, the weapons are definitely a problem. They're not the problem, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Yes, it would be nice to add a tight end or a wide receiver at the trade deadline, but I don't even know if I want to do that at this point.
Yeah.
Right, at this point, like if you don't win Sunday, like you might as well start being sellers at this point.
Unless they can find somebody for a bargain who's going to be here beyond this year.
Yeah. Well, Burge, let me ask that question because Brandon went there. So what's the next step? Like, let's say, somehow we lose against the Bills, which I don't think is going to happen. But let's say somehow we do, right?
I mean, so you're 0-1 so far on big ball takes and big ball predictions, Jay.
But Burge, looking forward, let's say we do lose the Bills. What's the game plan? Do we blow it up? Do we sit or trade or cut Cam Newton and we just give the team to Stidham? Like, what is the game plan if we lose on Sunday?
So I've gone back and forth with this in my head regarding the quarterback situation. As much as I would love to see Jarrett Stidham play right now, and I am craving for it, I think you would be doing him a disservice to throw him out there. I mean, they keep throwing him out there in garbage time of these blowouts, and obviously it's not going to go well. The team is obviously not playing well when they throw him in, and it's not going to provide them a spark. I think we can all agree on that. Starting him at any point during this season, regardless if the season is lost or whatever, with the supporting cast that he has, sets him up to fail. So at this point, I'm okay with just sacrificing Cam Newton. Let him play. If the season gets lost and they end up going 6-10 or 5-11, you know what? You sacrifice him and you move on after the season. There's going to be no extension talks or anything like that. Now, in terms of the trade deadline, I'm okay with trading Stephon Gilmore now, regardless, before this Bills game. If they were to make a move right now and they could get, I think I'm being pretty lofty about getting a first-round pick for him, but they can get a high second.
I was going to say, I think a high second might be within the planet Earth.
Because each passing week, I think his value is dropping.
I don't know about that, but if there's a team that, like, for example, I heard there were rumors about the Bears. Obviously their blowout loss last night may change that tune a little bit, but that's a player that could put them over the edge defensively. They've already got a great defense. You could probably find a team like that to give up a first-round pick. Depends. Bill the GM, who knows, but
Bill the GM,
I'm okay with moving him, but at the same time, I have no confidence in Bill to hit with the pick.
Listen, you're spot on, right? And I want to make a quick joke before anybody else jumps in. I saw this joke on like one of the boards or forums or whatever it was, and it said like, if let's say next year's draft, Bill Belichick somehow is in a position where he has both like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields available to draft, he'd somehow trade that away and go down to the fourth round and take some no-name safety from some shit
Absolutely.
college.
Absolutely. That's not even a joke. I can see that happening.
The guy tries to outsmart himself, and that's fine when you have the greatest Hall of Fame quarterback of all time. He can cover that up, but now it's not working. It's obviously not working. In the last 5 years, I did the math. In the last 5 years in the drafts, I can honestly say we came away with 2 good offensive linemen, Tooney and Mason, and the rest have been trash. The rest of the picks have been absolute trash.
How did they trade out of not taking somebody like a Jordan Love this year? Or even beyond that, in this loaded wide receiver draft, how did he not take one?
Well, because he wanted to take a safety out of what was some AA college that nobody.
I don't
heard
have
of.
a problem with that though.
I like the Kyle Duggar pick. I think the Duggar pick's great.
He's going to be a good player for them, but
or he wants to take a kicker in the fifth round when there's still wide receiver talent out there, and the kicker's not even on the team anymore.
He doesn't even make the team. He's on the practice squad.
Practice squad? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick. Oh, go ahead, Burge.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, trade deadline destinations. I think we all saw what Seattle looked like on defense on Monday night. They can't stop a runny nose. Mikey P, and we can all attest that the NFC West is probably the best division in football right now.
I'll agree to that.
Absolutely.
You can't. Russell Wilson had a B minus, a B plus, A minus type of game, and they still lost because their defense couldn't make a stop. Like Stephon Gilmore going to the Emerald City for a second round pick might make a little bit more sense than going to Chicago, just because they're going to have to stop people on defense, and they can't have any more setbacks like they did on Monday night against the Cardinals. I think Seattle would definitely be in play for the right price.
Mm-hmm.
If you send him to Seattle, you need more than a second though, because that's going to be a late second round pick.
All right. So could you guys second and fourth? I was just going to say like a 2 and a 4 and call it a day.
Yeah, I would call that a day. I would make that trade.
One last thing before we move off the Patriots, and please somebody for the life of me explain to me, where did this love from Jarrett Stidham come from? Like, why is everybody on Jarrett Stidham's peen like they need him to start? Because from where I'm sitting, Belichick, right, who we all regard as the greatest coach of all time, decided to go with Cam Newton, who came in late, didn't learn the playbook as quickly as Jarrett Stidham, but still decided to choose Cam Newton over Jarrett Stidham. And now when Jarrett Stidham does go into these games, he's doing absolutely nothing for us to be like, all right, well, he should start. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand he's getting thrown in there, but in some of these blowout losses, the 49ers are playing soft coverage. They're just running the timeout, and he can't seem to move the ball or have any sort of traction. In his first 20 passes, he has 4 interceptions. Like, I don't see it. Where is this Jarrett Stidham love coming from? Can somebody please explain that to me?
Boston media talked him up in the offseason.
Yeah, but you're buying in, Bird. You're the one that's like hot on this.
I'm buying it. I am buying it. I'd like to see what he has. I'm not saying he's going to be the second coming. I want to see what we have in him. He's under contract for the next 2 years. I want to see what I got on. I want to see what I got in him.
I think we already have. I think we already have the answer. I think from the fact that he didn't win the starting job, Belichick relegated him to being inactive for the first 3 weeks, and it was only until Brian Hoyer was so fucking bad that we finally threw him out there. And when he does get in the games, he's doing absolutely nothing. Against the 49ers on Sunday, they were playing soft coverage. They were just running the timeout, and he couldn't do anything.
Are we going to discount how he played against the Chiefs?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the offensive line really couldn't stop anybody on Sunday either. But no, I think, like, we all saw a snapshot of what he looked like. And I know, it's preseason. I get it.
Can we get over that? That was like a year and a half ago. That was that was 4 quarters, 2 years ago.
Jay, you want to hear why there's a love fest for this, and I'm giving the argument. So let me finish the train of thought. We all saw what he looked like in preseason against Detroit. Last season, he led the rookies last year in preseason in yards thrown, touchdowns. He looked dynamite in preseason. He's going in garbage time. I get it. He looks like hot garbage, but he was also running in Auburn the same offensive scheme that Cam Newton had down there a decade ago. So the guy can run. If they wanted to expand the playbook out a little bit and get these 50 running backs involved that the New England Patriots have, do a little bit of more of an option type of thing, jet sweeps, whatnot, I think you could get a little bit more out of Jarrett Stidham if you play to his strengths a little bit, because the guy's mobile. We've seen him throw the ball against Kansas City. He's got a nice deep ball. It's just, a couple of times the wide receivers didn't do him a whole lot of favors. He did have some brutal picks. I'll give you that. But we've seen enough that if we are able to start turning the playbook loose a little bit and get to what plays to his strengths, I think he could be an average quarterback that could shred the water if this defense had all of its players on board.
Again, I think that they're doing him a disservice by throwing him into these games. As much as I call for it, as much as I call for it,
right?
He doesn't have a great supporting cast right now.
Yeah, live and die with him, from start to finish for 60 minutes. Don't put him in with garbage time for a half the game and then start burying the kid when there's he's being put in a position that he can't even succeed in the fucking first place going into garbage time.
As much as I don't want to see this happen, if the Patriots lose to the Bills, they're 2-5.
That's easy with
they're 2-5.
This is a guarantee.
Okay.
I said lose.
Yeah.
They go 2-5. All right, they're gonna beat the Jets, and then they got the meat of their schedule coming up. They got the Ravens, the Chargers, the Rams. Yeah, you're not looking too good at that point to try to make up ground to get back in the playoffs. Outside of sacrificing him in his development, what's the harm in throwing him out there at this point? You know what you get in Cam Newton. What's the harm to the team outside of, again, hurting his development? If there really is something there, what's the harm in seeing what he has on a clean slate in a clean game?
I think we will see that. I think if we do lose the Bills this week, I think it's full on blow it up. I mean, let's bench Cam. Let's give the rest of the year to Stidham and see what he can do. Now, in my mind, I don't think we have the answer at quarterback on our roster currently, right? At the end of the day, I do believe if Stidham was going to be something in the NFL, he already would have done it. He would have been out on the field at some point or won that job from Cam Newton. Like, Belichick is not stupid. He's seen this guy in practice every single day. And at this year, 2 years in, like, how much more developing does he need? Yeah, 2 years in, how much more developing does he need? Like, at
but you're talking about him like he's a first-round draft pick. The guy was taken in the 4th round.
Well, I mean, people talk about him like he's a first-round draft pick. Oh, let's start Stidham. He's the greatest thing ever.
Well, that's because there was narrative out of Boston saying that in this draft, this past year, he would have been like a top 3 quarterback in the draft. That's where that comes from. That's where that narrative's built from.
I think we've gone on too long about this. Anybody else wanna wrap this up?
I was just gonna ask Mikey P.
We can keep going.
I wanna get Mikey P involved a little bit on his team. I feel bad. He's like sitting here like eating popcorn, like the Big E meme.
Oh, come on,
from
Mikey P's
WWE.
probably looking at some sort of porn or drinking something out there, man. Mikey P, the hammer.
Just
Aaron
sipping
Rodgers.
that peanut butter whiskey.
If I had to guess, Mikey P's probably on Instagram right now looking at chicks.
I'll finish with this. Aaron Rodgers didn't start till his 4th year in the league, and he was a first-round pick.
Yep.
So
now Jared Sims, Aaron Rodgers.
I'm not saying making that comparison. I'm just
saying
you are
completely making that comparison.
Sometimes
Jay, you're the one
need to sit.
Yeah, you're the one that's like talking about like, oh, Jared Stidham needs to like produce now as a 4th-round draft pick, but like, you know, there are different paces of development. Like you have A-Rod sitting there for 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Jordan Love is going to be sitting there for a bit, but it's all in the context of things, man. Like just because he's sitting there developing behind, Tom Brady last year, and then Cam Newton came in and took the job. I don't really necessarily think that that's an indictment against Stidham, because if he was that bad, Jay, on a 4-year rookie contract, they're not on the hook for that much salary cap damage if they were to cut him last year,
especially in the 4th year of his, especially as a 4th-round pick
without a 5th-year option.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to make the bigger point that I don't believe the answer to quarterback is on this roster. I think it's time that we start looking to the future. I think it's time we look in the draft and, let's hope, at some point that we're in position to maybe draft, obviously I understand we're not going to be in the Trevor Lawrence or maybe in the Justin Fields sweepstake, but let's say if there's a Trey Lance sitting there and let's say Belichick doesn't move down to the 6th round and, get out of that pick. Let's say he takes him. I mean, I think it's time to start looking forward. And I think this Bills game is a must win at the end of the day.
Let's say the Niners go down and Jimmy Garoppolo gets cut because they don't owe him any more guaranteed money. And he comes right back. I won't even go. I'm sorry, I went there.
Go, Mikey P, please get in on that. Like, what's your? Because I was going to ask you, like, what's your thoughts on Jimmy G and the upcoming schedule? Because there's a lot of divisional games coming up, and you're facing the Bills in about 3 weeks. You got Green Bay, a rematch of the NFC Championship game. Like, how do you feel about this offense with Jimmy G being on quick throws and kind of managing the offense coming off of that ankle injury?
I mean, I told you guys last time I was on, I've never been a huge fan of Jimmy G. I really haven't. To me, I've always felt like he's just not a superior athlete to me. Like he's not very athletic. He doesn't move very well. When he sits in the pocket and he's got time, he can make some great accurate throws, but like he's never sold me. He never has. So like I've never had a ton of faith in him. And you're right. We got a bunch of great hard-nosed games coming up. And honestly, I'm just, hoping and praying.
Do you I think I posed this question to you in the beginning of the year when we were talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. What will it take? What do you need to see for him to be your long-term successor at quarterback? And have you seen any of that yet so far? If not, are you ready to move off of him next year?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely ready to move off. I mean, I think, you know, the offensive line is fantastic. As soon as we get these running backs healthy, you know, we can go back to ground and pound like we've been doing. It just sucks. Like, seems like every other week we're getting a running back hurt, and it's, you know, another week of, you know, next man up, who can step in and, you know, cover some ground. And then with Samuel going out, you know, it's just another blow to us offensively. So,
Yeah.
you know, these injuries are just they're killing from week to week. I'm just hoping that things get better and Jimmy can and at least finish the season positively. That's my whole end game. I thought they would, you know, hit the season off ground running, play a little better, but I mean, this division is really, really tough. So Seattle's a hard game every single time we play them. It like comes down to the wire. So I'm really looking forward to the game this weekend. That's for damn sure. I hate Seattle. I have a friend who works at we have a friend that works at Clay.
Henry Thomas, my man Thomas.
He's from Seattle, and he's a diehard Seattle Seahawks fan. We've been going at it for years.
Yeah.
So I love to see Seattle lose, and I hope he's listening.
Well, early game preview, I'm taking the 49ers to win outright. So
all right, that's what
I'm not even
about.
I'm not even like pandering to you. I'll get into the reasoning why when we get to that game, but I like them this week against Seattle.
Okay. All right, let's move on to topic number 2 before we start doing some game previews. The Cowboys, who are just as bad as the Patriots, some can say worse, but they at 2-5 lost to the Washington Redskins. It was a pretty bad game.
Football team.
Oh, yes, the Washington football team. My apologies. 25-3 was the final score. It was not even close. At one point, Andy Dalton got his head demolished, and we all thought he died. But Puma wants to rail on them. So, Puma, the floor is yours, sir. Have fun. Let us hear it.
It's this, like, you thought you reached the depths of how bad a team could be on Monday night when they got obliterated by an Arizona Cardinals team where Kyler Murray looked like trash and still they all put up, I think they put up like 38. They dropped a 30 burger on them. And, you know, you go into this game, and me, last week I did the game preview where I literally said on the pod, Dallas could probably lose this game because of how bad their offensive line is compared to this defensive front that Washington has with a bunch of former first-rounders. But here's my dumbass in New Jersey looking at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, the official app of the Pro Football Radio podcast. They just don't know it yet. I'm sitting there at the rest stop, putting the bets in. I'm doing a money line parlay, and I put Dallas in there, being like, "There's no way that they could be this bad against the Washington football team because all they have going for them is the defensive line. Like, the offense is bad. It's just Terry McLaurin out there doing his thing. But Andy Dalton has to be able to bounce back against this team. Like, they have to find something within themselves to say, we're not going out like that against the Washington football team. And what the hell happens? They lay a fucking egg. Like, they lay an egg in the 1 o'clock time frame, and there's no, it's beyond a coaching issue, right? Like, we could all say that Mike Nolan is a terrible defensive coach right now. There's a reason why there was 6 years in between his last stint as the defensive coordinator, which I think it might have been for my Miami Dolphins, to being with Dallas right now. Like, there is a legitimate reason as to why he was on unemployment for 6 years. Like, there is just no heart on either the offensive side or the defensive side of the football. Like, at one point, the camera panned to Andy Dalton, and he's, you know, giving his offensive line an earful, just trying to get more time to have the play develop, and they just completely tuned him out. And I think that following drive, he scrambled, tried to run for the first down, and John Bostic took his head off, and nobody did anything, dude. Like, nobody did a goddamn thing to John Bostic, throw a punch, like, at least have a shoving match. At least have a shoving match with somebody. Like, show some pride. Like, I don't want to hear about how, oh man, football's a brotherhood, man. We got everybody's back in this locker room. We them boys. And you guys didn't do shit. Like, Andy Dalton was out before he hit the ground, and nobody did anything. And you basically traveled to Washington. This is a meme, but it's also true. You traveled to Washington to kick a field goal. And here's Jerry Jones trying to defend his locker room this morning by being like, when he's asked, do you think you have a locker room leadership issue? Well, I don't think we have a locker room leadership issue. Now just shut up and let me answer the question. Shut up and let me answer the question. I think looking back, we have the benefit of replay. We all sat there and saw an endless loop, Andy Dalton getting hit. And, we in real time, the players might not have known how to react. That was the most comical defense of a locker room with no stones. Like, they all have they don't have any balls, man. Like, they literally looked emasculated on Sunday against the Washington football team. Like, the only bright spot is they're in the NFC East, where they can still possibly win this goddamn division. But beyond that, like, I think they might be, like, a hair worse than the New York Jets, and that is saying something. Like, they are just bad, and I think they have the edge in the worst team in football right now because of how much money Jerry Jones has sunk into this team, and how, for some reason, for the last 30 years, they've been touting themselves as America's team, and they haven't done jack shit. But don't worry, everybody will still be out there being like, we them boys. You ain't shit until you actually go out and win a fucking football game. Like, you have not done anything this year, and you haven't done anything the last 30 years, and the only beneficiary of this fucking clown show in Dallas is Dak Prescott, because it proves that he was actually the guy that actually kept this fucking team together and kept the team in games. I feel a little bit better now.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
All I can say is wow to that.
Let me say this. I think us as
like fucking Mike McCarthy, man.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? Like Mike McCarthy. Like, it's kind of proof positive that Aaron Rodgers was the reason why Mike McCarthy was successful. But you fucked up. Mm-hmm. When Mike McCarthy comes out and basically calls out the locker room saying they have no heart to defend Andy Dalton. Like, this, oh my God. All right, now I'm done.
Can I speak now, or do you want
to? You got it. You got it, Jay. I'm sorry.
All right, so I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I do believe Jerry Jones swung and missed on his head coaching hire, right? And now, going forward, right, it's going to be interesting to see what the resolution out of this is, because I think Jerry Jones, much like most of us, we hate more than anything in life than to admit that we were wrong, right? It takes a lot. And sometimes organizations in the NFL will stick with a first-round draft pick 5 years into the future because they don't want to be wrong, and it does them harm, right? And I think Jerry Jones, he needs to really look at himself in the mirror, and he needs to look across the league at the Arizona Cardinals, who made a massive mistake in hiring Josh Rosen, right? I'm sorry, drafting Josh Rosen and getting the wrong coach in there. And Steve Keim, he admitted he made a mistake, and he immediately cut bait and hired a new head coach and drafted a new quarterback in Kyler Murray. And I think that's what Jerry Jones needs to do. He needs to really look at the mistake he made and realize that I don't have the luxury of time of 3-4 years to see this thing through. I got to start making some moves and make them now. And I would cut Mike McCarthy at the end of the season and start from fresh again, man.
Well, the other issue, too, is, Steve Keim, at least as a general manager, he's not the owner of the team. Like Jerry Jones is the only owner of an NFL football team that's also the general manager who has his own fucking radio show in Dallas. Like, he is a big part of the problem because, yeah, I get it. He did play for Arkansas. He was on a national championship winning team back in the 1950s. But his biggest problem is he knows just enough football to be an issue in free agent negotiations. Like, somebody, I get it, you own the Dallas Cowboys, but somebody just needs to, really look at Jerry and be, you need to be the owner, because he is almost like the NFL comparison to when Ted Turner owned the Atlanta Braves. Like, he was trying to like actually be a manager of the baseball team. He was trying to be the general manager of the baseball team while running Turner Network, and that ended in a fucking disaster until Bobby Cox took over as the manager, and then they won a world title. They won 13 division titles in a row. Like, somebody needs to tell Jerry, you need to just worry about writing the checks. We're bringing a general manager to actually run the day-to-day operations of the team, and maybe we'll actually get to back to our glory 30 years ago.
Well, one last point before somebody else jumps in. I think on the radio show today, Brandon, you saw he knew he's in the wrong, and he's coming out fighting because he's embarrassed that he made that decision. I think deep down he knows that essentially he made the wrong decision, and the question that was asked was not that bad. I listened to the whole audio. It was not as bad as I thought it was, because I saw the headline first, and I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta hear this. I listened to it, and he just came out, and he felt embarrassed, and he went to town against that radio host. So that's my take on it. You guys want to jump in? Go ahead.
Why aren't they feeding Zeke without Dak?
You know what the fucked up thing is? It's like he's still getting the ball. He got like 30 touches, even with Dak in there.
Yeah.
Who, Zeke?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm saying he had 12 rushes on Sunday, all right? And then against Arizona, he had 12 rushes then, too. I mean, granted, he fumbled twice against Arizona, but, like, he needs to be the guy now, all right? That hit on Andy Dalton, that response was pitiful. How John Bostic didn't get suspended out of that is an absolute joke, in my opinion, on the league. But they need Zeke to be Zeke. They need him to go out. They need him to carry the ball 25, 30 times, and they need him to be productive with those touches and protect the ball.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he keeps fumbling the ball. That's the issue as well.
Cut the goddamn sleeves off. Cut the goddamn sleeves off, man. Like,
But he
Jesus,
didn't fumble last week. He didn't fumble on Sunday.
Thank God. Well, yeah, but he was too busy getting blown up by one of the defensive linemen. Like, Zeke, I don't know if y'all saw the highlight, but he was on pass protection.
I did see that. I did see it.
And he just got annihilated by, I think it was Ryan Kerrigan, just going straight through the A-gap. And, whoo, he had his soul taken.
And so did Dalton
This
on that
team's
hit
just
before
bad.
he got knocked out.
Yep. I don't know. I just say, like, at this point, like, the only saving grace that Dallas has is that they are in the NFC East. And the Eagles are a mash unit, and they're just a hair better than everybody else. Like, that's it.
Let me ask you guys this. Would Cam Newton do better in that offense that Andy Dalton has in the time that he's had? I know, granted, he got hurt last week, but had Jerry Jones signed Cam Newton to back up Dak over Andy Dalton, with those weapons, would he be succeeding right now?
No, because I think the offensive line's worse.
I don't know, man. I think they're both bad quarterbacks. I don't understand where this narrative started last year for Andy Dalton. Like, I find it fascinating that people can just sit there and make up storylines, and then it's true. For 10 years, we saw where Andy Dalton was in Cincinnati. He had one good year, maybe, right? And the rest were like, all right, a couple good throws here, a couple bad throws there. But we know who Andy Dalton is. But then all of a sudden, Peter King decides to start this narrative, because apparently he heard it from the Patriots, that Andy Dalton is the next great apparent, quarterback in the NFL. And now it's true. But we see what he is. I understand his team sucks around him as well, but just like we're going to blame Cam for some of the issues, you do see some of that in Andy Dalton's play. You do see some of the indecisiveness, not trying to get the ball out of his own hand as quickly as possible. So, I don't know, man. It's a wash. Both are crap quarterbacks. I don't even know why we're having this discussion. You guys done?
Anywho.
I can't follow up that bashing from Puma. I can't do it. I just can't.
No, it's fantastic.
Fuck it. Move on to the game preview, Jay. I'm done with this team. I am done with this team. Like, I can't, like, oh, my God. Like, how is Skip Bayless, like, on national television and, like, still, like, keeping it together as a Cowboy fan? Like, I can't stand Skip. I really can't. But, like, part of me feels a little bit bad. Just a scotch.
Yeah.
But, oh, God.
Don't worry. He's getting off watching watching the Bucks and Brady down there. Don't worry.
That's true.
Even he's at this point kind of like, all right, well, I'm done with this team. This team is done. He's calling for everybody to be fired as well and just kind of starting from scratch. So we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season pans out. But let's move on to the Week 8 previews. We're going to be picking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games: New England, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Seattle, San Fran, Dallas, Philadelphia, and then Tampa Bay versus the New York Giants. So let's start with the first one: the New England versus Buffalo. Burge, go for it, sir.
I don't know where you're getting your confidence from going into this game.
Yeah, I want whatever drugs you're on, Jay. Because
Well, listen, no. For 20 years, I've been told Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. So why now am I going to stop believing in him? Why?
I'm not saying that I don't believe that the Patriots are going to find a way to win on Sunday. I don't share your confidence.
We're not at the triple down level that you're at on Prozac.
The Bills have been trending down the last couple of weeks. I mean, they almost lost to the Jets this past Sunday. So I like to think that Bill's going to have a way to contain Josh Allen, and I mean, I think John Brown's going to be out again. I don't know what the status is of Diggs. Is he? I know he got hurt on Sunday, but I don't know. I legitimately don't know what to expect. Buffalo has a decent defense, and I mean, it's really going to stem on how Cam Newton responds to this adversity that he's been facing over the last couple of weeks. I'm going to subject myself to torture watching this game. That's more or less what it's going to come down to. And I call it a coin flip. I'm going to pick the Patriots because I'm biased, but it's going to be close, and I could very easily see it go the other way.
So you're picking the Patriots?
I'm going to pick the Patriots because I'm biased, and I think if I was an unbiased person looking at this game, I would call it a coin flip. And I know the Patriots season is on the line with this game. They have to win this game to have a chance. And, you know, Bill is the greatest coach of all time. I have faith in him still, and I will after the season, even if they go 5-11 the rest of the year. It's just torture watching this team right now, and I'm praying for a win, but no doubt I'll be drinking, and we'll see how I react to it.
Mikey P, what's your pick on this game, brother?
I mean, I definitely don't have the Patriots. I wish I could give you any type.
Oh, you're not on drugs, Hammertime?
Yeah,
you're not on drugs?
I'm not on drugs, even though I'd love to be. I just don't think they have a shot. I think it's one of those situations where everybody expects them. They have such high hopes. Their season's on the line. They got to perform, and they're just gonna fucking take a dump.
Yeah.
I got nothing on them. I mean, I think they're going to get routed again. Cam's going to fail, and then, you know, it's going to be the apocalypse for you guys.
Yeah. Puma, your thoughts?
I mean, Buffalo's a 3.5-point favorite. If I'm betting this game, I'm probably not going to touch the point spread unless I'm going to do a teaser. The over/under's at 43. Like I said earlier, I'm fading the New England Patriots until further notice, unless they're going to run the football a ton. And we've seen throughout the entire course of the season, and a lot of it was because Buffalo was without their key linebackers anchored by Tremaine Edmonds. They can be defeated on the run, but they have Tremaine back. I'm not sure if the running back core is back up to snuff, but Edmonds is definitely back. But unless New England is just really going to go back to its roots and run the football and just milk the clock the entire game, I'm fading this team. I like Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator for Buffalo. I think he could be a dark horse candidate as a head coach for Houston. I think he's going to do what San Francisco did and just get his guys in space. I think Cole Beasley could have a huge game on Sunday. If Stephon Diggs is a go, I would not be surprised if they got him a little bit more involved in jet sweeps and have New England prove that they can actually close the gaps and seal the space off between the offensive skill position players for Buffalo. But gun to my head, I'm taking Buffalo in this game, and Sports Talk Radio is going to be fun on Monday morning for the greater Boston area.
You mean insufferable?
I mean, it's going to be great for me, Burge. I'm sorry.
Now, I know I was wrong last week. Okay.
You were exceptionally wrong.
You couldn't
Jay.
be more wrong.
But I think I was 1 week off. I am going to say take it to
Okay.
the bank. The Patriots are winning this game.
You
Take
can't bet a mortgage.
it to the bank, okay?
You can't bet a mortgage because you're fucking homeless, Jay.
No.
Like you're living in your car now. You're gonna bet the pink slip. What is this? Fast and the Furious? Is Paul Walker on the other end of the microphone over there? Yo, man, I almost had you. Yo, you never had me. You never had your car.
You're
Take
gonna end up like Ja Rule.
Yeah, Monica.
like I said, take it to the bank. Patriots win against the Buffalo Bills. And I have no reasoning or no evidence from the Patriots on the field to back up my claim. But like I said, we've got to apparently blindly follow Bill Belichick into this. I mean, he's the one that got us here. For 20 years, I've been told he doesn't rebuild, he reloads. He takes shit talent and turns them into amazing talent. He coaches up with the best of them. So why not for 20 years am I going to jump off the bandwagon? Belichick, it's on you. Patriots win.
I will say this, Jay. The only thing that I would say is going your way on this pick is that the Buffalo Bills are the Buffalo Bills. They always come out to these hot starts in September, and you can even count October into it. I know we're still in October, but we're at the tail end. And I think the game is actually played in November, so the Bills always come out flying and then turn into what everybody expects out of them. And the trend is that way, the way that they have looked the past couple of weeks. I mean, I thought for sure that the Jets were actually going to steal this one against the Bills on Sunday. I know you and I were talking, Jay, and we were watching that game closely, being like, if they actually pull this off, oh my God. But they are definitely on a downward trend. This could also be their trend up game, but I'm with you with picking the Patriots, as much as I hate to say it.
Just make sure you guys have Tums, Mylanta, Xanax, and Prozac ready. Like that's all I'm saying. Like I might end up trolling myself again this Sunday by playing Everybody Hurts, but like I'll have that song ready.
Brennan.
I'm gonna have it queued up, ready to go. Don't worry.
Brennan.
Yeah.
When we take a little drive from New Jersey on Saturday, right, to place our bets.
Here we go.
Take it to the bank, okay, baby? Go Patriots!
Hey, I'll remember that when you come to the house. Be like, yo, Jay, can I crash at your house and borrow your car? Because I lost my car.
Yeah, because I just lost my rent money.
I'm gonna ask Clay Lacey to just fund my direct deposit for DraftKings because I'm putting it all on the Patriots, baby.
Yo, can I expense this? Yo, Mikey P, can I expense this? Can I expense
I might
this
be
real
able
quick?
to slide it through.
Yeah, they won't raise any eyebrows. That's damn sure.
Let's move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens. The Pittsburgh Steelers barely won and hung on against the Tennessee Titans this past week, winning on a missed field goal kick by Steven Gostkowski. And the Baltimore Ravens were on a bye, so not much to report there. But in regards to this game, I'll go first real quick. The Baltimore Ravens, man, they've been quietly kind of flying under the radar. I feel as if ever since they lost to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs on the Monday Night Football game, I feel like we've just kind of forgotten about them. I feel like we're just like, all right, well, looks like they can't really beat Kansas City. Let's just keep them out there, whatever. We'll see these guys in the playoffs, right? On the Pittsburgh side of things, man, they came out hot. They punched Tennessee in the mouth in the first quarter this past Sunday. I thought it was going to be a bigger blowout, but in the second half, Big Ben was doing everything he can to give that game away, man. He was throwing picks. He was not really seeing the field as clear as he should be. And I thought at certain times it was going to be a foregone conclusion the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to lose that game. So I think with just how shaky Big Ben played, and I think the fact that the Baltimore Ravens are coming off of a bye week and they're healthy, and they picked up what's that defensive end they picked up?
Yannick Ngakoue.
Yep,
Yeah,
Yannick Ngakoue. He ends up going back and teaming with Calais Campbell and fortifying that defensive line. I think they're doing whatever they can to get ready for the playoff push against the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, give me the Baltimore Ravens here. The spread's close, but I think it's going to be in the realm of probably like a 28 to a 24 game.
Yeah, point spread. I mean, the point spread, it opened at 5.5. It got betted down to 4. Baltimore's favored by 4 points. The only thing with Baltimore, man, is this season, like, the offense hasn't looked that great. Like, the running the ball hasn't looked that great. It's a maddening running back by committee for fantasy football purposes. Mark Ingram hasn't looked like the same guy from last year. I was still waiting for the J.K. Dobbins breakout game for him to just take over the lead back role. That hasn't come yet, but Mark Ingram's a little bit dinged up. But I like Pittsburgh in this game, despite like the head scratching decisions that Big Ben made twice, throwing in a double coverage. This offense is firing on all cylinders. Deontay Johnson looks like the second coming of AB. Chase Claypool looks like a poor man's Megatron right now. Juju Smith-Schuster is still on that offense. He isn't dead yet. I expect him to have possibly a bounce back game because this Ravens defense is great, but somebody is going to be schemed open in this game. And I think a lot of focus is going to be on Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool. I think Juju could have a decent game. Eric Ebron, when he's able to catch the football, is a serviceable tight end. I like Pittsburgh in this game. I think they're going to be able to shut down Lamar with this defense that they have. Give me Pittsburgh. Give me the points for sure.
Take it to the bank or no?
I mean, I've kind of learned my lesson about big ball bets, a la Dallas in a money line parlay. I'm not putting a whole lot of take it to the bank bets right now.
So no take it to the bank. All right, just want to clear that up for anybody listening. I know we give valuable insight to our.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be like one of these people like on major networks that say, "Oh yeah, easy win, it's a lock," and they don't have any money in the game. Like the picks that I'm doing, short of the Dallas one last week, the picks that I'm giving on the pod, I have money involved in these games. So I will take Pittsburgh and the points this week.
All right. Okay, cool. Burge, what you got in this game, man?
This is going to be the game of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I wish this game got flexed.
I know. These two teams always play each other tough when they play against each other. I like the Ravens in this game. I think Pittsburgh's going to have to lose at some point, and I'm kind of playing the odds with that. I like Lamar Jackson in the running game to get back on track. I would love to see a J.K. Dobbins breakout game this week, strictly fantasy related.
Go Buckeyes.
Exactly. I like the Baltimore defense to have an answer for what Pittsburgh's throwing at them, and it's going to be close. Jay, I'm kind of in the realm of view here, 28-24, that kind of score here, but I like the Ravens in this game. But I'm not taking it to the bank.
Oh, no, take it to the bank. No courage, no conviction.
This can go any other way. I'll take one to the bank later tonight.
A tease, nice.
Well, what do you guys think of the Dez pickup? You guys haven't spoken about that.
Oh, absolutely nothing. He's going to be on the practice squad. He's going to maybe see the field if they get hit with a rash of injuries. The guy's done. He's washed up. It was not even a story. Wow. Not even a story in my mind. It's just an insurance policy if everybody gets sort of some COVID outbreak.
So you don't think he's got anything left in the tank?
Absolutely nothing, no.
But yeah, you have so much confidence in your Patriots.
Take it to the bank, baby!
And Cam
Newton. What about you? Do you guys think Des Bryant is going to be of something?
No, last time he was on a roster, he blew his Achilles out the first practice.
I mean,
even when
I wish he was here in New England. This
is true.
Here we go.
Even when he was playing, though, like his years in Dallas, like towards the end, like he wasn't putting up the numbers anymore. Like, in an offense that's having a hard time just moving the ball through the air right now, no.
You know what? That's a good point. I want to touch on that lightly here, real quick. Have we seen Lamar regress this year? Because I thought he was going to take another step forward and kind of explode, especially in the passing game, but. To be real with you guys, he's not really looking that great. Am I wrong in that assessment?
Totally agree with you.
No, yeah. He has not looked the same. Like
he doesn't look explosive. He doesn't have highlights like he did last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Moving on up to the game that Hammertime will be watching very closely on Sunday. The Seattle Seahawks coming off of a thriller of a game against the San Francisco 49ers. So we already touched on the 49ers. We'll have to go through all that again. But on the Seattle side, they lost a game in overtime to the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday night, and it was probably one of the best games of the year, man. I was watching it. It was up till midnight on the East Coast. It's swinging back and forth and seesawing, and DK Metcalf is essentially doing his best audition for the U.S. Olympic team, right? I mean, it was
fastest man alive.
Oh my God! And I was just sitting there watching this game, just in awe. But I think the thing that I took away from this game was Seattle has no defense at all. And we already hit on this, the fact that Stephon Gilmore could go there. But when, there was this narrative of let Russ cook, right? I understand that. But right now, he's like running the whole goddamn restaurant. They're asking him to do everything. He's throwing for 500 yards every night. It's absolutely insane. You can't keep up this pace. You got to provide him with some sort of defensive help. And that is why I do believe that eventually, Tampa Bay or Green Bay, probably Tampa Bay more than Green Bay, is going to beat them in the playoffs because they can't stop anybody. There's no defense at all for the Seattle Seahawks. So with this game, I'm going to take Seattle here just because I don't really believe in San Fran that much. So give me Seattle. On your end, Burge, what are you thinking on this game?
I'm with you. I like Seattle here. And I trust Russell Wilson to just ball out like he has. Biased DK Metcalf fantasy owner here, praying for a big performance out of him. I'm not as sold on San Francisco either. I mean, granted, they did just steamroll my boys here, but after watching that game, that's not saying much. I would think it's a pretty big make or break game for the 49ers being in that division. You don't want them to drop to 4. What are they going to be, 4-4 there if they lose? Lose against the Seahawks here. We've seen this narrative before about an offense going through the regular season and tearing it up without much of a defense. I mean, 2007 Patriots, right there, didn't have much of a defense. They went through and they tore it up. I like Seattle here. It's going to be a close game, but like you, Jay, I don't have any faith in them in the playoffs.
Yeah. Hammertime, I know where you're leaning, but, is there any way the 49ers can lose this game from your angle?
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm on the fence. I mean, the two offensive weapons that we have with Wilson and Samuel being out is a huge blow. So, I mean, with Seattle, Wilson he's throwing dimes left and right. We have to match that offense. And right now, I don't have a whole lot of faith in Jimmy. So even as a great 49er fan, I'm just being realistic, he's not going to put up the numbers. I just don't believe in him. So I'm hoping, praying that a miracle is going to happen. But, sadly, I think Seattle's going to take it.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Ayuk filled that role as Samuel pretty early on when Debo was hurt. I mean, obviously it'd be better to have both of them in there, but do you think that he can fill that role of the jet sweep, running runs out of the backfield as well?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, the guy's an athlete, so yeah, I have faith in him. But our running game is essentially like the biggest offensive weapon we have, and we got multiple athletes that are going down. It's kind of hard. I just don't know where they're going to turn to.
Okay, cool. Brennan, what's your take on this game? Who's winning between Seattle and San Fran?
I mean, I kind of teased it with the takeaways of the Pats 49ers game, which was really just a Pats group therapy session.
Thank you for that, guys. I appreciate it.
But no, I mean, I said I'm taking the 49ers in this game. Really, the only reason is this defense is it's so bad for Seattle. I mean, there's this NFC West has a bunch of high-flying offenses on the field. Kyle Shanahan's one of the best offensive coordinators in the game right now. He's going to scheme his guys up into space. The Ayuk pick it was in the draft was just something next level if you consider the player for the scheme that he was going to. And he's been balling out ever since he came back from his hamstring issue when he started against the Jets. What was it, 3-4 weeks ago? He's been slowly making bigger and bigger strides in this offense and getting it under his feet. And we don't know if Jamal Adams is going to be back for the Seattle Seahawks, and you can't keep winning games all the time with just Russell Wilson just constantly throwing you into games. Sometimes you are going to run into that other team. In this case, last week, the Arizona Cardinals, that could go blow to blow with you. And Russell Wilson had, 3 brutal interceptions in that game. One of them was in overtime that set up the game-winning field goal for the Cardinals. Give me the 49ers in this game. I think the point spread was also like 2.5 to 3 points, depending on what book you got the points at. Like DraftKings has them as 3-point underdogs. Give me the 3 points for the 49ers this week on the road in Seattle.
Okay, cool.
Kittle's got to have a good game too.
Oh, I think Kittle's going to have a monster game against the Seattle defense. I wouldn't be surprised stat-wise if he gets Tyler Lockett-esque numbers, maybe 10 receptions, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns at least. I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility for George.
Okay, cool. Moving on to the Sunday Night Football game, Dallas Cowboys against the Philadelphia Eagles. We already heard about how bad Dallas is when Brandon almost had an aneurysm. But the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, I don't know why we're picking this game. This is crap. Don't really care. I guess Philadelphia next.
God. Yeah. Like, I can't pick Dallas after that rant. Like, they're another team that I'm fading until further notice. I think they're 0-7 against the spread this season. They haven't covered one game. Their offensive line is bad. The one bright spot for Philadelphia on the defensive side of the football, next to Darius Slay, is their defensive front a little bit. But, I mean, Carson Wentz is getting it done with a banged-up offensive line, practice squad, wide receivers that he's throwing to, an Alshon Jeffrey that is in his feelings about not getting the football enough, but it's in the guise of foot ankle saga that he should be traded, but no team's going to trade for him because of his contract. Give me Philadelphia in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of ran away with this game as well too, just because of the lack of effort we saw from Dallas last week. Next.
Take it to the bank.
Oh! Woo, woo, woo!
Yeah, but who though? Dallas or
The
Philadelphia?
Cowboys are going to right the ship this week.
Oh, my
Oh,
God.
here we go.
Oh, my God.
Okay. All right, Burge.
Ezekiel
You'll be
Elliott
the
is
next
going to
one
get
to
back
rant.
on track.
Yeah, okay.
And
Okay.
whether it's Dalton or Danucci in there, quarterback, I think he's going to get those weapons involved. Philadelphia Eagles are a trash team just as much as the Cowboys are. Dallas is going to win this game. It's going to be close, but give me Dallas to the bank. Let's
Really?
go.
Oh, my God. Even with their
Wow.
quarterback, Ben Nardelli?
Let's go.
Wow. You know what this is gonna be? If Burge is right, it's going to be the Stan Marsh balls in a wheelbarrow moment. Like, I think he'll be the only one that picks Dallas on Sunday Night Football.
I'm intently watching this game for this reason. Let's go, Dallas.
I'm just gonna start calling you Stan Marsh's dad. That's it. If they win, I expect like a picture of you.
Randy Marsh.
Randy Marsh. Yep, Randy Marsh. Wheelbarrow. Yep. Okay.
My buddy Mike out there in California. Sir, who do you have?
I'm on the Philadelphia bandwagon. I'm double downing. I don't know. You have to be on some methamphetamines to take Dallas at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving on.
Our final game, Monday Night Football. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 5-2 go on take on the New York Giants at, I believe, 1-5. And essentially, another take it to the bank game. I think Tampa Bay wins fairly easily here. It's not going to be a contest. I think Tampa Bay is rounding into shape. You're starting to see 7 weeks in. They're starting to really gel, ready, click. And on top of that, that defense, I think is probably one the top 2 or 3 defenses in the NFL. I think I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at first, but these guys in Tampa Bay, especially with that front seven and that linebacker duo between Devin White and Levante David, I think it's probably the second best defense. And I do believe Devin White is an up and emerging linebacker that's going to be probably the best linebacker in the NFL in the next 2 or 3 years. So they're clicking on defense, they're clicking on offense. Rob Gronkowski is rounding into shape as much as you hate him, Brandon. The guy looks like he's actually moving downfield, looks like he's actually running quicker. He's starting to beat DBs like he did back in the day in New England. I think this is going to be a national TV, oh my God, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are here kind of night. We're talking probably like, I would say like 35-17. Pretty big blowout.
I'm just glad Gronkowski doesn't look like me getting out of bed every morning. With slow,
Listen, he
creaky...
was rough the first 4 weeks. The first 4 weeks he was looking rough.
He's finally in game shape now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Buccaneers defense is the best one in football right now. I think
even better than Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh is second fiddle. It's close, but I like Tampa Bay defense as the best in the NFL right now. I mean, I'm taking Tampa Bay in this. I mean, right now it seems like the band is back together with Tom Brady on the offensive side of the football. I think Godwin might miss this game, though, because he fractured his finger catching a touchdown pass last week. He's getting surgery. I think he's going to miss, but he'll be back week 9 along with Antonio Brown against the Saints.
Oh, boy.
So
they got it.
It's
Don't
going to
get me started.
it's going to be the Mike Evans show with Gronkowski. But, I mean, Ronald Jones looks like the clear back in this offense. The Leonard Fournette experiment, I think, is gone by the wayside. LaShawn McCoy isn't even the third down back anymore. But they're really not going to need it. The one good thing that the Giants defense is, air quote, good at is stopping the run a little bit. I don't see the offensive firepower for the Giants to keep up in this game. I think it's, like you said, Jay, it's a national stage. They're going to prove a point that they're probably the best team in the NFC right now. And this Giants team is just so bad, and for Giants fans, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe after this game, Evan Ingram is on the trade block, because he's just been brutal his entire career as a New York Giant.
He should be on the trade block for that drop last week.
I mean, all he had to do was lay out. Like, all he had to do.
He didn't even have to lay out for it.
Like, fuck.
Hit him right in his hands. All he's got to do is catch that. They win the game.
Yep. No.
You know?
All right, real quick, not to bring it back to the Pats, but if Evan Ingram's on the trade block, are you guys trading for him?
Absolutely.
Oh, anybody with the pulse.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
The Patriots right now.
They're gonna win.
Patriots right now are, us in college at 3 a.m. and we got the beer goggles on, and everybody else has left. And there's just that one chunky chick in the corner. We're in that position right now. So anybody with the pulse, bring it on.
Gotcha. All right, Burge, you were going to give us a game pick, and then I kind of derailed it for a hot
second. No, you're good. I'm with you guys. As much as I'm not yet 100% buying the Buccaneers, because I hate watching Tom Brady succeed elsewhere. This is going to be a blowout. The Giants really don't have it this year, as we've all seen. They're 1-6. I mean, I like the Buccaneers big here too, as much as it pains me to say.
Let's fucking go.
Is Tom Brady in the MVP race? Pending this
I knew this was going to come up. I really
pending this blowout you guys are predicting?
I don't think so.
I don't think it moves the needle. I personally think he's in it now, but I don't think the game.
You guys ready for one more take it to the bank?
I would be shocked
by
if he
years,
said it wasn't.
By year's end, Tom Brady will be the MVP of the league. The guy looks like he's 35 all of a sudden. 15 touchdowns, 1 interception the last 5 games. The guy looks good. He's on a mission. He's coming out guns a-blazing, man. Like, you can just tell he's a different kind of Tom Brady this year. He's done with all that bullshit with Belichick and Belichick holding him down, not providing any wide receivers or any weapons. Falcons,
God.
and you can just
Okay.
see what's happening now. He took
Sure.
a pretty shitty to below shitty team. Let's call them average. Let's call the Buccaneers average team from last year, and just drop Tom Brady into that roster, and all of a sudden they're a phenomenal team.
Whoa. The only thing holding them back, that offense was a top tier offense if maybe Jameis Winston got his LASIK surgery a year sooner. Let's not make it sound like they just rose from the ashes of mediocrity.
Thank you.
So
Like,
7-9. 7-9 is a great offense. Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, with all those offensive weapons, really the only thing holding that entire team back, including the defensive side of the football that had Todd Bowles last year as well too, was the quarterback that kept throwing interceptions. Otherwise,
Yeah,
there
so what
really
are you
hasn't been a whole lot of additions.
Yeah, what are we arguing about here? Like, I mean, we take them out, you drop them the greatest of all time.
You're making it sound like the Buccaneers went from 0-16 to Super Bowl contender because a guy that makes out with the sun on a photo session and has
All right.
avocado ice cream is the
Brandon,
savior
stop.
of the team.
They were 7-9 last
Stop
year.
it.
They were middle of the pack. They were an afterthought. They were a laughing stock, and now they're Super Bowl contenders. The
because
guy
of quarterback
demands.
play. That's the only thing that changed.
Okay.
What else has changed? The defense is still the same and intact. Levante David was there. Devin White was there. Shaq Barrett. They're all there last year. I mean, now what's changed besides Tom Brady coming in? Tell me what's changed.
All I'm saying is Tom Brady came in, Jay, but you're making it sound like they were the New York Jets of football last year.
I
and
said
Tom
they're a
Brady
middle of the pack at
rose-
7-9, and
rode
now
in.
they're a 5-2 Super Bowl contending team. Give the man his fucking credit, bro.
I am giving him his credit. I just said that they are the best team in the NFC right now. But like I said, the only thing holding him back was Jameis Winston and his lack of LASIK surgery last season. Otherwise, they probably would have won the NFC South last year as well, too. And probably made noise in the playoffs. Because say what you want about Jameis, the guy's got a cannon of an arm and can move the pocket and is mobile enough to make things a little bit more interesting on the offensive side of
He's
the
also
football.
the defensive player of the year as well, with 30 interceptions.
Again, insert statement of LASIK surgery year prior, if he had that.
Oh my god! All right,
Can I pose a question to you guys right now? It's kind of an interesting take here. All right, so we all know who our teams are, right? So I'm Patriots, Jay's Patriots, Hammertime is the 49ers, and Puma likes the lowly Dolphins. Who are you rooting for to win the Super Bowl if it's not your team? From a pure fan perspective,
oh
who
for
are
me,
you rooting for?
it's easy. It's the Buccaneers. Very
Okay.
easy.
Okay.
Probably the Steelers. I mean, they were my psycho pick at the beginning of the season. I had Steelers, Cardinals going to the Super Bowl. I'd be happy with one of those two winning the Super Bowl this year.
Hammertime.
I like Baltimore. I love Lamar Jackson. I think he's an unreal athlete. He reminds me of just a Jason Williams type of point guard, in basketball. So I like those guys. I like their style, their attitude.
I'm all on the Tennessee Titans bandwagon if my Patriots can't win.
Oh really? Tennessee Titans. Why is that? Mike Vrabel?
Mike Vrabel, Ryan Tannehill's a great story going in there. I absolutely
Fact.
love Derrick Henry. I love Derrick Henry. I wish he was the Patriots running back. I like them to go there. They were a great story last year. They fell one game short of making the big game, and I thought for sure they were going to win that game.
Well, let me ask you a question out of the AFC, because the NFC is a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more wide open. But in the AFC, is it really Kansas City and bust, or do you think Tennessee can actually beat them? And given the fact that they didn't beat them last year, and the Ravens seems like they're fading, and maybe the Steelers are there as well, but who's more in line to win the AFC besides the Chiefs?
Tennessee, Pittsburgh.
I'm with you on that. I think Tennessee and Pittsburgh are the two teams you have to go with right now. I mean, you can't go with anybody out of the AFC East. You can't go with the Bills. They're leading the division right now. We all know what they are, and I mean, Baltimore could make some noise, later in the season. Pittsburgh, Baltimore out of that division, but out of the AFC South, it's definitely the Titans.
Yeah.
Colts are frauds.
Yeah, I think this is a big game for the Baltimore Ravens this week. I think they've got to plant themselves back into the picture, because ever since the Monday Night Football loss to the Chiefs, they've just been kind of like a relegated afterthought.
Whippets?
Yeah. All right, cool. Do you guys want to get to anything else before we plug it up and call it a day?
Please,
I mean,
God,
the Antonio
let the
Brown
Patriots
signing.
win.
Sure. If you guys want to talk about that, let's talk about Antonio Brown.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I figured he'd be back in the league. I figured, you really can't take any stock in what Bruce Arians says with anything about, he's never coming in here. He doesn't fit. And then, they could say what they want. Tom Brady banged the table to have his guy come back in. It is what it is. And that's the perk of being. This is more than likely going to be Tom Brady's last team, whether he wins a championship this year and decides to ride off in the sunset, or if he decides to play out both the 2 years of his contract with Tampa Bay. That's the perk of having this organization by the balls. And you can basically call your shot. And Jason Light, going into the season, his job was on the line. Tom Brady came to town. You have to win. I mean, he missed on a bunch of draft picks in his tenure as the general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, yeah, he's going to put all of his chips in the middle of the table and treat this team like a fantasy football draft and people that don't know how to draft and have waiver claims, because this team on paper looks unstoppable now with this addition of Antonio Brown.
So essentially what you're saying is he's the greatest quarterback of all time and the greatest GM of all time as well?
I mean,
he has better choices than Bill Belichick right now.
I mean, Jay, he even came out last year, and I know I sent you this article at times last year when he was openly complaining about some of the roster moves that were being made. And a couple of the quotes were, man, well, if I had any power as a general manager, if I had any say in an organization, we would be doing different roster moves. So that's already been out there during his time as the New England Patriot. It's not that shocking that, he's kind of calling the shots in roster moves right now.
Let's be honest. Like, Antonio Brown would have made it in New England last year had he not been a moron in last year's offseason.
Wait. I hate that.
Why?
Why? He wasn't cut until the text messages came out, dude. Like, it's a fact.
Because your whole sentence was he would have made it if he didn't do this. But he did that shit. So, like, why is there an if there?
A bunch of those text messages came out after the Patriots signed him.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for the heat, and let's be honest. It's been documented that Brady and Belichick wanted AB to stay. Him being released was a Robert Kraft decision.
100% agree with you.
Completely honest.
Why are we rewriting history? The guy didn't make it in New England. He flamed out in 11 days. He flamed out with the Raiders. Who knows how long he's going to make it? Maybe 3 to 4 weeks.
He forced his way out
He
of
fucked the Raiders.
And then,
he forced his way out
the
of
Raiders.
Oakland.
Yes, he did.
Cam Jordan
fucked the Raiders hard.
Cameron Jordan with the Saints was having an interview with somebody, and they talked about, hey, AB is on the roster now, week 9. How would you guys feel about facing AB on Sunday Night Football in week 9? And his response, which is absolutely beautiful, well, let's see if he makes it to week 9. I mean, the guy has a track record. I mean, why are we constantly defending this moron who's demolished 3 teams in the Steelers, the Raiders, and essentially the Patriots in the way he left? Like, why do we think he's going to change now? Why? Can somebody explain that to me? Is it fourth chance will be the lucky chance?
I'm not disagreeing with anything you just said there. The guy has pure talent. So if he can get out of his own head, he's gonna succeed down there in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's also documented that Byron Leftwich is actually one of the very few people that can get through to Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Pittsburgh as a backup quarterback when he was there. I don't know. I just don't get it. If he was here last year with the Patriots for the full season, and Robert Kraft and Steph.
Oh, the playoff team going to the Super Bowl.
100%. There were talks of 19-0 with him here last year.
Oh my God.
Hell, they made it 8-0 without him.
Yeah.
And then the offense fluttered.
Yep. Facts. And I don't think it's rewriting history, Jay. Like, it is basically a documented fact that if the text messages didn't come out, they were going to ride it out with Antonio Brown because it wasn't a problem.
But your first sentence,
no. It was not. No. Jay,
there's no if. It happened. It happened.
It was not an issue until the Robert Klemko Sports Illustrated article came out. That's a fact. Otherwise, they were going to ride it out with Antonio Brown because we all know that the commissioner's office is not in the business of trying to dictate off-field behavior by players. It was blatantly obvious last year when we saw what they did with Tyreek Hill when he is on audio tape, documented audio tape, threatening the mother of his child, and the guy didn't even get suspended. It was not a problem until the Sports Illustrated article came out. Otherwise, he still would have been on that roster. That's a fact.
Listen,
You can call it revisionist history. You can call it rewriting history, whatever. But it is a fact. He would have been on that team.
Listen, Brennan, I'm not trying to be an ass here. Like, I truly am not. Maybe I don't think like you guys do. But the article did come out.
No, I'm with you there.
The article did come out, and essentially, at that point, the Patriots were forced to make a move. Like, what am I missing
Bob Kraft.
Who is the Patriots? Who is the Patriots?
Can we all agree Antonio Brown is a shit person?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not up for debate, is it?
No, it's not up for debate. But the bigger issue is it wasn't even a criminal case, right? There was never like a police report. I'm not saying he's innocent. He probably did everything that this woman is alleging. But the problem is it's a civil court matter. The NFL is not going to want to set a precedent of trying to dictate civil court issues by suspending players by just word of mouth. Like, it's so easy nowadays to sue somebody in a civil matter. You don't really need to prove that much. The threshold for the burden of proof is so low in the civil court that anybody nowadays can be sued. I could be sued for a civil suit. Jay, you could be sued. Hammertime, you could be. If somebody bumps into your fucking jet ski, you could be a victim of a civil suit.
And trying to take my name.
And you too, Birch. Like, a civil suit is so easy nowadays that like I said, he probably did everything that this woman's alleging, but the NFL is not going to want to set a precedent about the civil issue. He would have still been on the roster, but that was a Bob Kraft decision, which is fine. He is the owner of the Patriots. It's within his prerogative. But when 2 out of the 3 people that run the organization still want this guy to be on the roster, that's a telling sign.
Telling sign of what?
That they were willing to overlook his issues. Hell, Tom Brady was willing to have him live in his house outside of Foxborough.
I think
they were going to look past that.
I think we're having 2 different conversations. I think what I'm trying to make a point is, everywhere he's gone, he's been a shit person. Why now is he? Let's back it up. It seems like for his whole life, he's been a shit person, and all of this shit is coming back to bite him in the ass now. What has changed from the last time he got kicked out of the league to now that essentially he's going to stop being a shit person and his past won't come back and bite him in the ass?
Tony Robbins. I mean, Brady organized Tony Robbins to talk to him. That's not even me being a wise ass. Nope, that's a fact.
I'm with you.
I'm with you. Is that it? Like, is that all we're going off of? Is that Tony Robbins giving a motivational speech and now he's good for life? Like,
I mean, it was basically painted that way.
Your history follows you no matter where you go.
I mean,
Go ahead. Yeah, what you got, Mikey P?
He reminds me of Carmelo Anthony. Like, everybody routed Carmelo Anthony, with his time with the Knicks. He had a shitty attitude, thought he was way better, and he had something to fucking prove. I think AB's in the same position as him. Ton of talent still left in the tank. He just needs that opportunity to prove himself. And I think he's just like Carmelo. And now Carmelo is such a better player, more humble person. I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to be like Carmelo, but I'm just saying I think the narrative is sort of there.
I agree with that sentiment.
Yep.
Well, I guess we'll see how many games he plays. I think at the end of the day he could probably make it through this season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's a stretch. But I don't think he'll be on the roster next year. Do you guys see him as a long-term play in Tampa Bay, or is he essentially a 6 or 8 game rental?
He's there as long as Tom Brady's there.
I agree.
He's going to be there as long as Tom Brady's there. They're going to find a home for him, and it's as simple as that. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised. I was actually looking at contract situations. Mike Evans has been dinged up a whole lot in his career. If Tampa Bay was able to get a decent draft pick for fucking Mike Evans and keep Antonio Brown, if he can manage to make it the whole season and be with his boy Tom Brady, I would not be surprised.
Who do you think blows it up in Tampa first? If it comes to that.
What do you mean?
Like, who's going to be the one that's going to pitch a fit about targets, etc.? Anything that can go on down there.
Mike Evans, just because he's the senior guy there.
He's the senior guy for sure.
100% with you guys on that.
Like, I was on here 2 episodes ago saying, Tom Brady's one argument away from Mike Evans from getting a punch to the jaw.
Yep.
Call me the crazy guy, But Mike Evans has been a model upstanding citizen for the last how many years? Why would I not go with Antonio Brown, who's been a trash human being and a loudmouth and wanting his catches every single place he's gone? Why would I not go with that guy? Am I being crazy here?
Well, just
A little
based on
bit.
what
He
Hammer
doesn't
Time
have
said.
that
Stop
in
it.
him.
I'm
Yeah.
going with the Hammer Time theory of the
Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony and then being humbled. And hell, you can't really find anything from Antonio Brown on social media even before the signing going into the season. Like, yeah, he went off like a coked out ex-girlfriend last season, but during the process of trying to get back into the league and get reinstated, and then once the suspension finally came out, that he was going to be suspended 8 games. The dude was nowhere to be found on social media at all. So, yeah, I think he finally realized that he needs the NFL a whole lot more than the NFL needing him.
Oh, well,
Yep.
Exactly.
But wait,
He's got
Yep.
something to prove. He's got
Yeah.
something to prove. down
Exactly.
Yeah,
Now he's got
absolutely.
the edge.
yeah, of course. Yeah, he'll be fine. Upstanding citizen. Let's go.
I mean, Jay, are you gonna? All right, let's play this. Antonio Brown, he's on the roster. He's a model citizen. He does everything right with Tom Brady and the avocado ice cream. They go to the Super Bowl and they win a championship. Are you still bitching about Antonio Brown being there?
Hell no.
If that
Thank
happens,
you.
if that
Thank
happens,
you.
if that happens, and he's an upstanding citizen, and there's no peep coming out of him, and he goes and produces on the field, I would be more than happy to sit here and say that, listen, you know, the guy maybe has turned a corner, but all the information I have right now, every single piece of information, Brandon, is point to the fact that the guy is a fucking shit human being and can't keep his mouth shut. Like, how am I? Why am I missing something here? Like, all the information I have right now is that the dude is a trash human being and he won't be on this team for long.
I mean,
So you.
oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just about to say. So you don't believe in second chances, then, Jay?
I believe.
Well, I mean, this would
I
be
believe
like
in
his
second
fourth
chance.
chance.
This is like his fourth one.
Yeah, but Tyreek
I guess
Hill's
so.
already gone through 2. One in college where he choked out his pregnant girlfriend, and then with the child abuse scandal last year too. Like, yeah,
I mean-
as fucked up as it is, and I'm not buying to this line of thinking, but like, no, like if you're winning, everybody's gonna overlook that shit. Like, I mean, Ray Lewis was an accomplice to murder, and the only reason why he didn't go to jail was because he dropped a dime on his guys, and he's in the Hall of Fame right now. Like, that's case in point right there.
Yeah. Well, luckily, we'll have all the answers to this in about 8 weeks. So we look forward to doing all this again. Puma, we're like at an hour and a half. We don't plug this up, so we wrap this up.
Yeah, let's do it. So this episode of the Pro Football Radio Podcast and previous episodes of the pod can be found on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can find us on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Pro Football Radio Podcast, Twitter at PFR Podcast. I'm on the Twitter machine, Brando_Puma. Jay Chima's at Jay Chima. Hammertime, where can the good people find you on the social media machine?
Mike.P. What is my social? Actually, I don't know.
Why do I feel like it's Mike.P.Anthony something?
Yeah,
like, is that
Mike-
close?
Listen, no.
Anthony.P.
No.
That's me.
You can find a Mike at hammercosmetics@gmail.com. And could you please tell me why
Yes.
your email address is hammercosmetics@gmail.com?
Because I have a successful
Oh,
eBay business.
entrepreneur over here.
Hey, you gotta hustle.
I've made $100,000 in the last 12 months, my friends. So
Hey.
Hammer Cosmetics is a booming business right now.
Let's go.
Let's
Let's
fucking
go.
go.
My man. Cool.
That's where that's the jet ski money right there. Jet ski and 2020 Toyota Tundra.
Hey, you gotta treat yourself, Hammertime. You gotta treat yourself. Mike,
Gotta have the toys.
Burge, where can the good people find the senior analyst of the Pro Football Radio Podcast on the social media?
Twitter at Burge the Goalie. Hit me up. I'll be going at Adam Jones all day.
Yes, the hero that we need, Burge. That's what I'm talking about.
Awesome.
Screw that guy.
Well, listen, we've been at it for an hour and a half. I don't think anybody has learned anything from our podcast, but
They learned to take it to the bank, just not your
take
to the bank.
it
back.
to the bank. Put the mortgage on the line. All right, let's wrap this up. We'll see you guys next week.
Vaya con Dios.
Peace out.
Let's go. Go Pats.